Can you check your phone?
Yes, I can.
For those of you who don't know, my name is Danita Hayes, and this is
Chris Hayes.
This is my husband. I am a real estate broker and co-owner of Victory Allegiance Realty. We own a real estate company, and my husband Chris is a loan officer with Movement Mortgage. So we have been in the industry for about 14 years. You 15 or 14, 15 years. And tonight, we wanted to come to you guys live just to answer your questions for one. If you have any questions, please go ahead and type them in. We will answer any questions that you may have. But tonight, we wanted to talk about the do's and don'ts of purchasing a home. So as you know that when you buy a home, it is a process. And there's certain things that you should do, certain things that you shouldn't do when purchasing a home. So tonight we wanted to go over those things. One thing I love about Movement Mortgage, they actually have a sheet. It's like a worksheet, and it gives you the do's and don'ts of the things that you should and should not do when you're purchasing a home, because if you do some of these things, it could actually kill the deal. Yeah. So you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically what we're going to talk about tonight, and you know, we want to try to prevent you from doing any of those things so that we can make the process smooth for you throughout the entire transaction.
Absolutely. So
I know one thing. One of the biggest things that you cannot do when you're purchasing a house is deposit cash into your bank account. Okay?
I think I have that on here.
Because you have to be able to verify where that cash came from. Okay? So if you're depositing cash in there, that's going to hurt you sometimes. Let's just give you a quick example. If you need $2,000 for closing, okay, and you deposit $1,000 in cash in your account, and you cannot show where that money came from, I now have to say you only have $1,000 in your bank account if you had $2,000 to start with. Okay. Can
you explain as to why they need to be able to source all the funds? Because that's the big question that I get a lot.
It is very simple, because we need to know where it came from, basically. I can't give you the money. It's illegal for me to give you the money, or if Danita was being your realtor, she can't give you the money either. So we have to be able to source exactly where the funds came from. You can't use money like you can't get a loan to use as money for a down payment or pay for your closing costs and things like that. But that's one of the biggest things that happens a lot that I see. People are depositing cash, or they're getting credit cards and taking cash withdrawals from it, and it's hurting them in the process.
Okay. And so, because I had somebody ask me that question too. They needed down payment money, and they were like, well, I'll just go get a loan.
Yeah, don't do that.
And tell them why not.
Because no lending institution is going to allow that money to count for you.
Because
okay?
Isn't it adding to the debt to income ratio?
It's not only adding to the debt to income ratio. You just can't use a loan for a down payment or closing costs.
Okay.
It's gonna definitely add to your debt to income ratio as well. But we cannot count that money. So I had a person just the other day, they took $5,000 off of their credit card, deposited in their account. So now it looks like they have $6,000 in the bank. But once we realized where that $5,000 came from, we backed out that $5,000. So they only have $1,000. So they don't qualify for the loan anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I have a few here, and I'm just going to go down the list, and I'm going to have Chris to just talk about it, because this is what he does every single day.
Yeah.
And we come across these questions from people every day. They're always asking us, well, why can't I do this? Why can't we do that? Well, because if you do it, your loan is going to be denied. So when we tell you something to do, listen to us, guys. We're trying to get you to the closing table, right, babe?
That's right. That's right.
All right. So here's the first one. It says one of the don'ts is don't apply for new credit.
Yeah. That's am I an underwriter? No, I'm a mortgage loan officer, not an underwriter. And what was the question again?
The don't is a don't. It says don't apply for new credit.
Yeah,
when you're going through the home buying process.
Yeah, because when I'm taking a look at your credit initially, I'm approving you based off of what your credit report is saying at that moment. Okay. Your credit gets pulled later on in the process, and if you apply for some new debt, let's just say you bought a car, and we discover that car after you've already sign a contract, you pay for an appraisal for $580, home inspections, and then we discover you have a car payment, you may not qualify anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's so important, y'all. Don't apply for new credit when you're going through the home buying process. And let's just clarify, the home buying process, it starts from the time that you actually get pre-approved or from the time that you get your contract ratified?
Well, once you get the contract ratified and once we're on the contract, just you don't want to get any new credit at all.
Yeah.
At all. Really, after I pull your credit, you don't want to get any new credit at all because I'm qualifying you based off what I see at that point. Okay?
Okay. Cliff, you funny. Cliff, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Cliff just...
Kenny Lee, wow, great looking couple. We're locked in here. Been anticipating this. Okay, good, Kenny. Listen, if y'all have any questions, just type them in below. We'll answer your questions. All right, here's another do. It says, do keep all existing credit card accounts open. Now, this was a question somebody gave me the other day. They said, hey, my credit card is paid off. There is no balance on the card. Can I just close the account?
Yeah. So credit is kind of tricky. I'm not a credit consultant. I just know enough about credit, though, to tell you what you should do and what you should not do. It's good to have the credit. Here's what's crazy about it. If it's at a zero balance, it's actually not helping you. As crazy as that may seem. You actually want to have a little bit of debt on that credit card because that comes from utilization of the credit card, okay? The time you've had the card, how long you've had it, and utilizing the card, that makes up like 50 to 60% of your actual credit score, okay? So if you're at a zero balance and you're not using it, so that means there's no utilization on your card anymore, you've lost a percentage of your credit. Okay, so you also don't want to close out the credit card either, because once you do that, you've lost all of the credit history of that card. Okay,
so that can make your score go down.
Your score is going to go down. So you want to have the card open, even if you're not really using it that much. Keep maybe $100, $200 on the card. You're being responsible, which is a good thing. But if you're trying to purchase a house and you're trying to increase your credit score, having it down to zero doesn't help you, and closing it out definitely doesn't help you. So I always tell people, use the card, but just make sure you stay at about 30% of the limit of the card, 30% or lower of your card. Nothing's wrong with that.
All right, and let me just say this. This don't have anything to do with the video, but we do not give anybody permission to record this video and put it on YouTube because that's what somebody did the last time, so I'm saying it now. If we see it on YouTube, on somebody else's channel, you will be sued. All right. Next, it says here, okay, so yeah, don't max out the card. You just talked about that. Do keep employment within the same company or field of work while you're going through the home buying process.
That's true and not true too. You can change employment. Well, let me back up. Yeah, keep your employment throughout the process because it makes it a lot easier on everybody. We try to make the process as not difficult as possible when you're doing this. So if you are coming up with, you've been trying to get this great job at IBM for all these years, okay? And finally the job has come and say, hey, you have to take this job and it's before your closing date. Just talk to me, the loan officer, before you do it. But it's a lot of things you got to take in consideration. If you are a salary employee and then you're going to take a job where you're going to be a commission employee, that's going to hurt you. You're going to have to wait 2 years before you can get approved for a mortgage again because we have to calculate 2 years of commission employment before you can do that.
Okay, good.
Now here's another thing though. If you are a salary employee and you're now going to an hourly employee job, that can also hurt you. Here's why. You have to show that you're making 40 hours a week as an hourly employee on the FHA guidelines. If you don't, if it's some weeks you're making 32, some weeks you're making 38, some weeks you might have made 42, we can't calculate what your actual income is going to be because you're hourly. Okay. So if you're getting another job, you got to make sure FHA rules say you have to have 12 months of hourly employment in order to count that income. So please keep that in mind. The best thing to do is just don't change employment during the process.
Okay. And then for those people who are business owners, tell them what that looks like for them to show their income.
Yeah, so with business owners, you have to have what's called a year-to-date profit and loss statement, okay? That just shows what you gained, what you've lost, and you have to have 2 years of business tax returns with your K-1s and all that stuff, everything that you filed on your taxes. A lot of times with business owners, they write off a lot of taxes. You do it on yours as well, what you should do, but we write off a lot of tax exempt. So you may have made $200,000, but your tax returns are going to say you made $50,000.
Yeah.
$50,000 is what we're going to approve you for.
All right, business owners, y'all heard that. So if you know that you were ready to start the process and buying a home, when you do your taxes, don't write everything off, because you want to be able to use that income so that you can get approved for the house that you want.
So Cliff, you asking about home improvement loans? Yeah, you can definitely do that, man. It's a couple ways you can do it. You can do one that's called an equity line of credit. Okay, those are actually pretty good, man, especially when you are doing trying to do some type of home improvement. Because let's just say you need $50,000. You take $50,000 out in the equity line of credit, but you only use $30,000. Okay, you're only going to be paying on the $30,000 that you took out, and it's only interest only. It's interest only payments on that $30,000. And you can pay more if you want, but that's all that you'll have to pay. Okay, and then you still have $20,000 available for you if you wanted to do something else down the line. So home improvements, I would do an equity line of credit if you can. If you don't want to do an equity line of credit, some people do a refinance, which is good. But if you're going to refinance and take some money out, oftentimes you should maybe pay off some debt that you have when you refinance in the house.
All right.
One more thing too. Some people say they don't want to refinance because they don't want to start over at 30 years. You don't have to do that with my company. I can do, if you're at 22 years, I can do the loan at 22 years for you.
That's awesome.
Okay? Keep that in mind.
All right. So this one, I think is pretty self-explanatory, but it said, well, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to this one. This one says, don't consolidate debt to 1 or 2 credit cards.
All right. Because they want that's a credit question though. You want to have a mixture of credit. They don't want you just to have one credit card. When you have like a revolving debt, an installment debt, then maybe a student loan, etc., that just helps your credit score out. That is pies when it comes to I don't want to say pies, but it's like a pie with your credit, okay? And that takes up a big chunk of how your credit score comes to life. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This one says, of course, stay current on all your existing monthly obligations.
Yeah, that's important because a lot of times people say, where I'm about to move into the house in, what's this month, October? They say I'm moving in November, so I'm not going to pay my October rent. Don't do that, because we're going to get 12 months of verification of rent. And you have to make sure you're current throughout the 12 months before you close on your loan. Or someone may not want to pay some bill that they don't think they have to. Keep current on everything, okay? Even in your light bills, because like sometimes people don't have enough credit to get a credit score. So we're going to get alternative credit. That's your cell bill, your insurance bill, your light bill. So if you, and then, make sure it's in your name, not in your kid's name. But we're going to get those bills and make sure you've made your payments for the last 12 months to prove that you are responsible. Because the main thing with lenders, we just want to make sure you're going to pay the money back. Okay, we're not trying to get into your personal business. We just want to make sure you have the ability to pay the money back.
Gotcha. All right, good stuff, Chris.
Yeah.
I think this is the most important one. I think you kind of mentioned it, but you can really talk about this more. Okay. It says to call your lender before making any major financial changes or decisions.
Yeah, definitely do that. We did kind of touch on that for a minute. I want y'all to call me. We say call your lender.
Yeah.
I want to be your lender, okay? But really, if you're making any type of financial changes or anything that's going on, when you're getting the process going, you have to contact your lender and let them know everything. And a big thing, like when we're pulling your credit, the biggest one is when you, so when I pull your credit, say you went and bought a car, a lot of times cars don't put their liability on your credit until about 3 months down the road, okay? And that's important because once we find out that could affect what I approved you for. So make sure you tell me everything that's up there, and try not to purchase anything big.
Hey Frankie, thank you. And Misha says, will a mortgage loan approval increase your credit score at approval?
No.
No. All right. Did y'all have any more questions? Just type your questions in below. We decided that we wanted to start. We used to do this last year, like just to come on, just to talk about different things in real estate. Tonight, we wanted to do the do's and don'ts that you should be aware of when you're purchasing a home or going through the home buying process. So if you guys have any questions, maybe that something that we did not cover tonight, inbox me or inbox Chris. So that we'll have more to talk about, more topics. We're going to do this every Wednesday.
Yeah.
Try to start at least by 8:30.
Yeah.
But we want to be able to just educate the community about purchasing a home or anything with real estate investments, selling your home, whatever it is about real estate. Inbox us your questions and we will definitely talk about it next week. If you guys have any questions, just type them in below and we can answer your questions. Or if it's a personal question that you don't really want everybody to see, just inbox us and we can get with you.
Yeah, and every week we're going to have a different topic. We probably even bring up programs. I cannot talk about interest rates, believe it or not. It's actually against the law for me to mention that on social media. Rates are really good, but I can't give specifics. But if you have questions like that, your inbox, we could talk personally about it. But we want to inform you and get you on your way to being a homeowner.
Absolutely. And y'all, even if you're not in Virginia, we can still help you.
All 50 states.
Yeah, we can help you. So definitely anybody who maybe you might want to do a free consultation, a home buyer consultation, we can do that. We can do that for free. We can do it over the phone. You could come into our office. Our office is located in Chesapeake, and we would love to sit down with you.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Please share the video. You never know who needs to hear this information. I think you gave us a lot of good information tonight.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys. Y'all have a blessed night.